Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to JP Broadcasting live on YouTube. We are here for Radical Sim Racing, the Americas Series Pro-Am Division, round number 5 from the Red Bull Ring in Austria. And it is a beautiful day out here. I am joined in the booth by the one and only Dean Biggles. Biggles, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm enjoying the sound of music. Of course, you got to listen to the sound of music because this is where it was filmed. And I've said this multiple times before in the past, but I'll say it again. Most of the racing teams, including Formula One and stuff, will always have references to the sound of music during racing weekends. So if you want to reference the sound of music, go for it because it was filmed not too far away from these parts. But you know what else is coming from these parts, my friend? Arnold Schwarzenegger, Beethoven, Toto Wolff. There is just a ton and a ton of classical music, of course, and as well as talent. But I tell you what, Red Bull, it's one of those tracks, the Red Bull Ring. You basically got every right-hand corner and 2 left. That's it. So, an overtaking opportunities at the top of the hill into turn 3 and 4, I believe, and then a little bit of straightaway, and then you're going to make your way into the turn 4. And then not too much bold and brave, I'd say, through the middle section there where you do your couple of left-hand turns. And track limits. Track limits now, my friend, is your biggest enemy in the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, the Red Bull Ring is definitely notorious for that. Going into turn number 1, you got to take it quick, but it's such a sharp corner. You got to hit it at the right angle or you're going to hop over top of them rumble strips. You're going to get off track. And then along the long straightaway in the back, that's not even really a straightaway, it's more of a curve. You really got to watch that double side because you can really try to push it off the edge, and you're going to go right off the side and possibly into the grass because the runoff there is not very long. So you really got to pay attention to almost every single corner in here because it's fast straights, hard braking zones, but it's going to give us plenty of opportunities for passing.
Oh, it's a fantastic track for passing, my friend. In any category of motor racing, even with that Formula One for the DRS, you got Motley 3 DRS straights. You don't have to worry about DRS here at the moment here for the Radical World Series. But overtaking definitely up the top of the hill. Now, the interesting thing is, as we're just looking at Greg at the moment, who has the fastest time on the board in our practice session, which is a 124.9. But the top of the hill, mate, you're going to be interesting. You're going to see 2 cars and 3 cars wide up there in the top of the hill. If you look at that track map, that is right up that kink. That's turn 3. You can see right now Greg is going down up into there. So Greg is actually going to be coming around where I'm talking about. That little kink is called turn 2 for some reason. I think it's more for the bikes than it is anything because the cars are flat through here. But as he turns up here now, you can see with Greg, he spots the apex and goes wide on the outside, and that's a perfect entry and exit. However, you side by side with 2 cars or 3, well, somebody's going to send it up the inside. It's going to be bold and brave. Last late breakers, you can make it work. It's all about the exit speed. It's all about the entry speed. But I tell you what, that's where your overtaking opportunities are, and so look out for that one.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities that come here at the Red Bull Ring, and you really, it's going to be all about the braking zone. Who's confident in their braking, especially with these little cars? They're light, they've got some good grip to them, and they're snappy. They're on the go. So, like especially here in turn 1, we see Marias going through here turn 1. You really got to watch getting on the throttle coming through here. And if you see someone getting a little bit loose, it's a good opportunity if you can nail that corner to take advantage down this long straight and into the super hard braking zone into turn number 3. But like you said, it's uphill. It's kind of a blind corner to the right. And you kind of feel like Superman once you're getting there because you're like, I can get him here. But 3 other people can feel that way too. And you really got to watch out for it. So it's going to be a crazy night. I'm calling it right now. It is going to be crazy. The last few races we've seen have been pretty clean and pretty fair. And there hasn't been too much ruckus going on, but I feel like here at the Red Bull Ring, with the speeds we're going to be pushing, we're gonna see some excitement and some action tonight.
As Arnold Schwarzenegger would say here, of course, you'd be pumping iron because you have to be pumping iron. You'd be pumping some pistons, of course, to get the pedal to the metal to try to get some overtakes done. And you are absolutely right. It's a shorter field tonight because a lot of people on holidays and so forth. So hello, everybody in the chat. If you are not racing tonight, pop in and definitely say hello. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the racing presented here by JP Broadcasting on the YouTube network, as the final TikTok times will be kicking down there for our practice session. Get ready for that qualifying. And then we can start going on board, I guess, for some of those drivers, aren't we, during the qualifying. So they tackle that big 50, 60-ton bull statue right there, as you can see on your screen.
Yeah, 10 minutes they're going to get for qualifying, and I feel like we're going to see Vieira and Seitz really duking it out for that front spot, because you really want to get that whole shot. You want to be up front here. You want to have that open air, which allows you to kind of get into your own line and get into your own rhythm. And we'll see. We're going to take a look at Seitz. He's getting ready to pull out onto the racetrack and get a lap.
You want to give us an on board?
Let's go on board with Greg Seitz. He was our fastest in practice. So we'll see if he can put it on top of the charts here for qualifying.
That sun's a little blinding as well, too, because in the afternoon, that's something I'm not really used to here for the Austria. But here we go. Craig's got it on a warm-up lap, on an out lap. So for the Rust Racing team in the rusting sun, there's the ball at the moment. You usually would have, if there was a Dutch army in here, about 10,000 flares going off in that sold-out stadium. But it's not Formula One. They'll be using a blue and white and red flare at the moment if you're going for this 74 car of Greg. And he's got sit up. That is a bit blinding in that at the moment, actually, as well. Now, drivers probably turn that down. The sun's just disappeared behind the beautiful Austrian Alps here. And he's going to get ready to line up now. Crucial for the final turn here to not go too far. Spots the apex. Now, that's probably very wide, whether or not be invalidated or not, but he's got up to fifth gear, and this is where you're going to get it. And this is exciting. Get the first turn right, and then you're confident for the rest of the track. Yep, little, could have probably hit the, then again, I don't drive these cars, could have probably hit the apex a little bit more. This is just straight away right now. You go maximum gears, maximum revolution, and maximum risk, and then get ready for the climb up the hill. You can see 153 miles an hour. He's got a spotlight braking point at 50. He's swinging in here, get the apex, get on the power. Not too bad at all, you'd have to say. And now, the rest of it's pretty, well, not really straightforward, but this is another overtaking opportunity. If you're a Formula 1 car, your DRS will be activated. Spots it again at the 50 braking point, and you go down a hill. This is a little bit more of a tricky corner because it's a little bit longer and not as tight as it is. And then you're going to get ready for your only 2 left-hand corner turns here, my friend. And you're like going, this is not NASCAR. This is not IndyCar. Got to turn left twice.
Yeah, it's not just all right turns here. We gotta go left a little bit and give us America's guys a little bit of credit, because left-hand turns are fun too. But if you look at how fast he's going, every single straightaway, other than one, he's getting up over 150 miles an hour. Now, these guys are flying, and that means braking zones. But as you see through these corners here, that might have been an off track. Hopefully it's not invalidated for him. He will have a little bit more time to get it done. But he goes to the top of the board so far with a 125.543. Vieira right behind with a 125.573.
Yeah, now, Rob, I could confirm that with the drivers. I heard a little bit earlier today. I've been here at Red Bull, casting for another league. And as far as I heard from a driver, as long as you got 2 of those wheels just inside that white line, as you can see Lucas is right on the limit, you're okay. But if you have only 1, then you're an off track. So, push the track limits just like a Williams Esports have done in the past, haven't we? But I don't think we should go there.
And honestly, oh, look at that. There goes Richard Hearn in the AMS division. He's going to put down a 126.397. That's putting him 3rd overall on the board. But look at those two. Seitz and Vieira, 125.5. The rest of the field in the 126.3 and 4. So these two in a league of their own at the moment. Maybe these other drivers are putting down some good, confident laps. Those secure laps that you know that you're going to get a good time in, you're going to get yourself a good starting spot. You know that you're going to lock yourself into a good spot. The second half of practice, which we're almost halfway through the qualifying here, is when you get those push laps where drivers really start to push the car as much as they can. They've already nailed the good lap that's got them into 4th or 5th. And now they're really going to try to push and see if they can get up there. As we see Reagan and Moncada both turning faster laps. Moncada almost into the 25-second bracket with a 1:26.008, putting him third quickest overall.
You're absolutely right. You got to get there, put your bankers in there, and start building confidence. If you do have a couple for off-track excursions, that's fine. Your track is invalidated, your lap is invalidated, but you can push next again for a lap because it's a short lap around here as well. And the track looks like it's going to be cooling as well. So it should be coming into the favor of the drivers right now. As you see, Manuel gets that one, and Richard is up into P3 for the 70 car. Well, you'd have to say Richard Hearn, of course, in the AM's class is doing a pretty good job mixing it up with the pro class.
Yeah, and he's got Solorzano right behind him. He was just up there. You see Gevorgian takes that third spot away. But Solorzano and Richard Hearn aren't that far off in times. I think Solorzano is really pushing to try to get Hearn there. It's going to be very difficult. Hearn's got a massive lead in the championship right now in the AMS division, so it's going to be rough for him. But Solorzano is really putting up a fight. He took that win home a couple weeks ago, and he's not letting Richard have any easy day. He's really keeping him honest, at least in the AMS division there.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? Racing and racing and racing. You don't want to be yielding anything at all or giving away any points you possibly can.
And look who's on top
Brazilian,
of the charts.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lucas is doing it for the On Wheels TV racing team, navigating his way around Spielberg in Austria in a brilliant way of the Red Bull Ring. He's got about a 1/10 gap, so you're not comfortable yet, but the one thing is on his side is 3 minutes and change.
Yeah, they got about enough time if they get across the stripe in the next 20 seconds to really get 2 more laps down. So they got some time to really get it in. The tires are warmed up. They can really push the car and see what they can do. And 2 laps it can really do something. It looks like Richard Hearn's back up to third as we say that Gevorgian drops him down. But drivers now starting to get into the 125 bracket, so we're seeing that push. Can Greg Seitz come in top? Vieira, he's getting ready to come around one more time.
Yeah, Vieira, I think, crossed the road up the road, but I'm not quite sure if Vieira's time was valid or not. It's a 25.1. Whereas Greg, I think Greg is going to take a little bit for that to update real quickly, but I think he's still on the same time. So maybe an off-track invalidation. So now you got to push. It's more for the other drivers that are not in the front row or second row. I think Lucas has just gone back in the pit lane. He's selected, okay, this is it for me. No more time on the board unless he comes back out. But yeah, they can afford to push. Obviously, Lucas can afford to push and just go off track if he needs to and just have to stick with that time. It's the top time. But everybody else has to push it and not push it too much in the track limits.
Yeah, and as we saw, you take a peek on the left-hand side there where all the numbers are blue and yellow. If you see a one turn red, that's an off track. As you just see Seitz, we just seen that right. Red. That was an off track and an invalidation for Seitz. So Seitz, I'm pretty sure, unless he gets across the line, is going to be out. He's got just a little bit of more time to get across that line, and I don't think he's going to do it with that invalidation. So I believe that's going to give the pole to Vieira.
You might be right. I'm not quite 100% sure. He's going to be crossing the line now. He's still got a minute and change. No, there's no time left. Of course, that's it for the qualifying, I think, as you're right. As my telemetry is telling me that it's 0 on the scoreboard, but although the qualifying time's counting down a minute, I think that's just a cool down time, if anything, isn't it? I think at the moment, Lucas may be safe.
That actually is the qualifying timer. So there's 1 minute left in qualifying, and it's a minute 25 to get around this track at the pace they're going. So I don't believe that he's going to make it to the stripe in time to get one more lap in, but he is definitely trying to make that happen. I just don't see that happening. He doesn't have enough time to get around the track.
Oh, you're right. I always get confused, of course, with Formula One, because even if the time is counted out, a checkered flag comes down to if you're on that lap. If you started the lap in time, you're fine. But it's a little bit different in the situation.
Yep. So the way this,
yeah.
the way this race format goes, we get that 10 minutes of qualifying. That's all alone, so it's all by themselves. They get to get the best lap all by themselves. Then we get a standing start, and these guys are on a fixed setup, so they're not getting to change anything or this or that. They're all showing up to the track with the same car. We don't have to have a pit stop, and we have no safety cars. So if any wrecks or anything happen, you got to get through it, get fixed. There is one fast repair if you need it, and there's the qualifying right there. We're gonna call it.
He didn't make it. He was close, but I tell you what. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it is. The Brazilian mastermind of Lucas has done it here in the Red Bull Ring.
Yep, Lucas Vieira bringing it home with a 125.197, and Greg Seitz just 1/10 of a second right there behind him. Horvanis Gevorgian going to be starting with that other Rust Racing car in third place, and Richard Hearn's going to start fourth overall and take the pole for the AMS division with Mateus Marias and Manuel Solorzano starting in sixth.
And 1 second separating your top 10 right there. So very pacey, very quick.
Just getting the last few cars on the grid. And we are about to go green flag racing. 30 minutes around the Red Bull Ring. Round number 5. Next week we go to Alton Park, February 9th. 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you tune in. If this is your first time here at JPB, make sure you subscribe so that way you can catch all the racing action that's coming this week, next week, and for many weeks to come. Are you excited here? We're about ready. I believe we have all of our cars on track. The lights are about to come on. 2, 3, 4, and lights out. We're racing at the Red Bull Ring. Vieira and Seitz both get a great jump on the start. Everybody else seems to be getting clean. Turn 1, it's very, very tight. And it looks like everybody's actually making it all the way through there. And our two leaders starting to pull away already just a little bit. About 8 car lengths separating. But it looks like everybody is staying in a good spot. And staying single file.
I think you're absolutely right, because it's a 30-minute race, and everybody's not going to risk it for the biscuit to one turn. But you got to start to see some overtakes forming soon as they start to get used to these temperatures, used to the tires. Oh, late break up there on the inside. And it's the 26 car right now battling with, who was that? That's Christopher, isn't it? I think.
Christopher Reagan in the 119 has a massive lockup. And now he's stuck on the outside of those 2 left-hand corners.
Oh, he's going around the outside. He's like, okay, I'll find my way somewhere around here in Austria. And he's going to give it a shot. Why not?
And he's definitely going to get by Diego Zuccarelli there. And that's going to be for your 10th position up front. The battle is still a half a second. But Richard Hearn is powering forward. He's got Mateus Marias in his sights, and he wants a little bit of that podium action already. He's looking to the inside. Gets a little bit of lockup, and there it is. He locks up those brakes a little bit, and now there's 2 spots lost as they go 3 wide down the straightaway.
This is what I said, isn't it? Gets 3 wide into turn 3. And this is it. Last leg breakers on the inside. Look out for the red car. Now he's not going to have the exit speed right there. Now, but he did actually somehow, believe it or not. So they're going to be a drag strip as you can make your way down to turn 4. That was actually very, very brilliant. Don't see that very often, but congratulations to Manuel there for the Colombian driver, making it stick up on the inside. But now he's under attack again.
Oh, and they're getting really close. Richard Hearn having to really get on the brakes. That's going to allow Steven Place in the Radline car to get out in front of him. And he's going to pull up. And this is our battle here. Richard Hearn trying to move forward, but falling back, now down to 7th position. And now we've got Manuel Solorzano leading our pro.
He could make a run in the last corner here if we go back to Richard. It could be a run to the last corner. I don't know. I would sit back there and wait until an opportunity to turn one. And once again, I know it changes to the gap if you want to switch it over to interval when you get a second. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. But here we go down the main straightaway. You're right on cue. Thank you very much. You can see those battles that are forming.
Place and Moncada, Team Radline running 7th and 8th position right now. They've only swapped positions with themselves so far in the race, so maybe they were working at trying to team up and work their way through this pack. But they're sitting pretty right in the middle of the field at the moment. We see a little bit of smoke there. And Seminari looks like he had an issue. He gets off track. Oh, and he's off in the dirt.
He saves it, bud.
And then he gets back on the track and loses
no.
it. Luckily, it's all on his own. And he gets it back going straight.
It looked like he had it, but yeah, that was a good attempt at getting it. Once you get in that dirt, mate, it's just it's like, you know, you're back at school.
Under fire from Hrvanis Gevorgian. We'll take a ride on board. These two getting very close on the racetrack, battling for 4th position. And Richard Hearn's up to 6th, so Salarzano trying to keep a car gap in between him and Hearn.
He goes wide, but there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities. They are going wide. They're seeing a lot of off track, so we have to be careful of that one a little bit later on for punishment. But he's got to just line up at the moment here. Jovigorian is I get that really, sorry, my friend, in the number 13 car you're riding on board right now. Now it's going to be here, DRS activation beep. No, you're not going to get that. That's Formula One, but you're going to just tuck up there, get the slipstream, and then is he going to be bold and brave? And where's he going to go? Because it depends, obviously, on Manuel. And that's a send. That's a send on the inside. Now you have to commit, my friend. Now you got to spot the apron. Do you allow a little bit of room? I think he got the job done. Yes, he did.
Great move by Gevorgian. On Salarzano, you see him flashing the lights. Not sure if that's mad or happy.
That was a well done, mate. Because there was no, I don't think there was any contact on that at all. You could see it would always be argy-bargy coming out on the exit of the turn 3, but I didn't look like any contact. It looked very clean, and drivers will do that. I think they will definitely show some respect. But hey, what goes around comes around, because the attempt can come back the other way.
Well, now
fantastic racing.
Now that Gevorgian has gotten past Salarzano, we've got a battle for the lead. Richard Hearn battling for the lead of the AMS division with Salarzano at the moment. Vieira and Seitz, the leaders of the Pro Division, 0.6 of a second separating those two at the moment. But Hearn really wants to take the lead of this Pro Division and move himself up into P5.
Got time to overtake. Once again, I think we're going to be up climbing up the mountain once again. They all had a great exit through turn 1, and now follow each other absolutely flat. And once again, see who is going to be bold and brave. We're looking over the rear wing there of the number 12 car from Manuel. And look at this. There is bumper cars, and there's a spin. And that's, I'd have to say that's an oopsie, my bad.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Salarzano gets it going back straight. Let's take a peek at that, at what happened with that one more time real quick.
It's too much. Yeah, it's, that corner is so tricky. You can see. Let's have a look. I think, yeah.
Oh.
That's a double party thing, because you could also say that Manuel was too slow exiting out of the corner. But then again, if you're ahead of the other car, you have the right of way. I don't know. I'm not a steward, but I'm pretty sure the other drivers are like, they're not trying to do that. They're not intentionally wanting that to happen. They want to race side by side all the time.
It looked like Hearn was trying to use that cut the apex line and really try to carry some speed through the corner, and he wasn't really expecting Salarzano to be that far inside on the corner. And I think they just kind of came together with a massive speed difference. Hopefully that didn't give Hearn too much problem with aerodynamics or any damage on that car. I know these cars are fairly hard to deal with, and Steven
not if you go over the ripple strip like that as well too. Yeah, look at this. Now it's going to switch it over the place. It's gone back to gap as well too, mate. I think from the replays it does that, but if you go to the intervals. But level this. Once again, we're going to see another adventure. This time around it's going to be one. There's one. No, one's wisely had to back off, and there's one luckily his teammate behind him didn't slam in the back of him as well too. When you do back off the the loud pedal.
Yeah, the two Radline drivers duking it out after place. Goes wide in turn number 1. He's now on Moncada's tail going, hey, I was going faster. You need to go. I need to catch that guy. So we may see these two duking it out. And the leaders up front still sitting pretty. 4/10 of a gap in between Vieira in the lead and Seitz in P2. Seitz trying to make it heat up a little bit. He just gained that gap by 2/10 and then dropped it back again. So these two,
I think, yeah,
really starting to heat up, but Seitz is really starting to push, or Vieira is starting to try to save a little bit. But Seitz does have the fastest lap of this entire event out of qualifying and everything. He hit a 1:25.010 on his fastest lap, which is lap 3, I believe. So he is much quicker right now than Vieira, and Vieira just needs to watch out because now there's only 2/10 of a second. Battle is heating up for the lead of the AM division.
I'd have to say, if you go on board with Greg Science, it looks to me like he is not attempting an overtake just yet. He's comfortable. He realizes, hey, I've got 20 minutes left of this race at least. He's happy to sit behind and apply the pressure to the Brazilian driver. Because, and then, you know, he's got time to pounce. He knows, he's basically trying to analyze any mistakes that Lucas is going to do up the road there and then get ready to pounce a little bit later. I think that's going to be very clever. As long as he can keep within him, which he is, they're matching the pace. You mentioned he's quicker than him, but he's not attempting the overtake. They got a 4-second gap down the road. So he's thinking about this battle. He's thinking about a race win, and he's got plenty of time to do it. And if I was Lucas, you just got to keep doing what you're doing at the moment. And when Greg does come to attack you, get ready to defend.
That's for sure. A little battle heating up in the back. They kind of separated. They were fairly close at the moment. Joe Jacqueline trying to chase down Salarzano. Salarzano having some real struggles today. He's down to 10th position. Still 3rd place in the AMS division, so he's still doing all right, but I'm sure he wants to get a little further up there. Christopher Reagan up here under fire from Diego Zuccarelli. Reagan just got past Zuccarelli the last couple laps, and Zuccarelli is not going to let him go too easy. But he's got a little ways ahead of him. The two Radline drivers are battling, and oh, there he goes. Zuccarelli's going to dive to the inside.
He got a bad exit. And see, that's what happened when you go too deep in that corner and you couldn't get a good exit. You're going to be back to losing that position. You'll always go side by side as you make a run down into here, but who has the racing line? That's the key. The inside line will go to the 26 car, but the 119 should have the speed, but then again, he couldn't get. See, there it is. See, side by side. Here we go. Twisting away. Welcome along. Not much overtaking through the lefties here, mate. Left-hand turns. I don't see that much in all the motor racing I've casted here in the Red Bull Ring. Not. And the rest of this is essentially follow the car and then think about your turn 1. And if you don't get turn 1, think about your turn 3 up the hill. That's the best, wise way to do it. And also remember, you got 18 minutes to do it, so don't have to be too greedy just yet. These drivers are professionals. They know what to do. And welcome along. Chat's really quiet. I guess they're so impressed with the fantastic racing we've seen here at the Radical World Series for the Americas Pro+Am Series.
And it's honestly starting to heat up a little bit all over the field. We've got some battles cooking up all the way at the back in the AMS division. Kansas Gentry trying to take on Charles Krasick. And Krasick gets a little loose.
Oh,
and Krasick into the fence.
Which turn? Oh, it's turn 1, isn't it? Yeah.
Turn 1. He's backwards in the grass trying to get that car going back straight again. Moncada is under fire from his teammate Stephen Place. Place went wide in turn 1 that Moncada get by a few laps ago, and now he's been trying to get by ever since, as Richard Hearn is just kind of pulling away from those guys. Currently the leader in our amateur division. 5th place overall.
They have to be thinking about that, don't they, Rob? Like, you know, if you're battling together, you're costing time. And that's Hearn up the road. So you've got to be thinking, all right, guys, so what are we going to do here? Who's quicker, who's not? It's probably pretty even Stevens between the two drivers. That's the difficult part of if you are a race engineer, you are the team boss, who would you let through? I don't know. It's one driver's making a mistake, one driver's a little bit quicker. So the problem with them, of course, is Mr. Hearn. That's what they need to be worrying about more than themselves.
Yeah, and it's hard to make that decision because as a driver, you always want to beat your teammate. When you go to the racetrack, you don't care who you're beating. You just want to make sure that you beat your teammate. And that's one of the most important things. So they're racing for that. But then you also get into the situation where you're two different drivers. You may have two different driving styles, where one of you may be good in 1, 4, and 6, and the other is good in 2, 3, and 7. And you're going back and forth where you're getting slowed up by someone in the first couple corners here, but now you're falling back because they're faster than you in the corners ahead, and you're going to hang them up. So it's a delicate balance, and we see it with F1 where a driver doesn't want to go to team orders, and sometimes you got to do it because they've done those calculations. They know, and we've got a battle heating up. Seitz is going to look to the outside. Vieira tries to block.
No.
Oh,
yeah,
that was close. I don't know if that was a swerve in or what that was.
No, it was fine. I think because Craig was going to go look at the outside, and I think. Vieira just covered the racing line off. I think Craig was like, at that point, I honestly don't think he's wanting to overtake. I think he's happy to sit behind, but the problem is the overspeed coming through there. He's like, at some point, he's got to move the car around. Welcome to the chat. I see that there for the Enquires, what was it? Krizak, of course, into the wall. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for tuning in on that one. But he's still in the race a little bit further down the road. But this battle is still brewing. And I guess Craig is he's just happy to be here. But the problem is if Vieira makes a mistake, Lucas, of course, leading the race, Craig's in a situation where he's forced to go off a racing line to overtake. This is the problem when you follow a car, is that you're also interfering with your own racing line, essentially. So, yeah. And then again, if you do overtake him, then all of a sudden you're the one that's going to be chased rather than the chaser.
Yeah, and honestly, there's 15 minutes left to go in this race. We are halfway through the race. Seitz knows he has the speed, and I think he is just kind of playing some mind games with Vieira right now. He's putting a little bit of pressure on. He doesn't want to burn up his tires and use up his stuff because we are only halfway, but he doesn't want to let Vieira get away either. So he's pushing enough to get on his tail. As you see, he's trying to keep that off so that way he kind of stay in contact with him. He doesn't want Vieira to get away, but he doesn't want to use it up too much. He's got a few more minutes left to go. Give him another 10 minutes, and then I think we'll see him actively trying to overtake Vieira and try to take over the win once again. It's going to be a tough challenge.
Entry and exit to turn 1 is brilliant. He got up about 6/10, and then this is the problem too, is you climb your way back up the hill as we go further back in the action. But climbing your way back in the hill, you're always going to lose a couple of tenths. There's not much you can do about a slipstream because that's the only main straightaway that you're going to have. So he's covered that one off brilliantly at the moment, and that's something no doubt that Greg has to be thinking about. But the battle at the moment is definitely brewing, as you can see here, between P3 and P4, as well as, well, that's the other one with Greg. I just think, I want to be interested to see, because this is a very, very relatively short lap, as you know. Now, they're going to make their way through the final left-hand turn, and then they're going to be sweeping their way around through the third sector. Keep an eye, again, the exit speed. Now, Greg's going to have a good exit out of the final turn here. I don't think he's going to you can't really make too much of a run. But have a look at Lucas. To me, Lucas has been a bit of a mastermind on exiting out of turn 1. Now, let's see if Lucas could do it again, because this is probably one of the closest that he's got. Now, it's 2/10, all right? But last time around, Lucas has got half a tenth out of the exit 1, and this time around he hasn't. So I'd have to say right now, Greg probably has to look at make a run. And the classic overtaking up the hill into turn 3. Let's have a look. He's going to have so much overspeed here. Does he lift? He has lifted. Tuck to Ben behind. He's not wanting to overtake yet. You might want to go back to P8, P9 as well, too, because it looks like that. There it is. That's an overtake, I believe, the different classes. And that's Christopher getting past Zuccaleri. I'll let you do the names, mate. You do it better than me. That's Diego. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, head back over to the leaders if you don't mind, because I want to see the exit speed again from Vieira. Because it just seems to me that Greg has got a little bit more. Now, that's 3/10 coming out of the corner. That's not what Lucas had. Lucas just now cannot break the toe. Cannot break it. He knows Craig's on his tailpipe. Craig is putting pressure on him too for now. Once again, will Craig try to set a dummy up the inside and think about an overtake? No. Once again, decides to elect to stay behind. Playing with his food, perhaps, for now? I don't know. We'll stop it for a second, of course. So there was something that did happen to Lorenzo. If I pronounce that one correctly, Manuel had gone off track somewhere. Yeah, Sorzana, so my apologies. By himself as well. You know what's going to happen? It's going to be hit going out wide here. Oh, even before that. All right. Oh, it's going to be an overtake for P3, P4. It's got to be for sure. Because they're going to be climbing into that crucial corner. Here we go. Exit speed. Who's going to get it? It's so hard to judge from this. I have to tuck in behind. I have to maybe... Yeah. Oh, it's gone too deep there. It's gone too deep. It's gone too deep. It's got to line back through. But he got left. He got left-hand turns now. No, you're going to have to tuck in. There it is. Tuck in for a good night sleep tonight. Because that's what's going to happen in motor racing. And guess what? You've still got time to come back and do that one. Here we go. Fantastic racing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. Welcome along. And nothing misses CJ out there. Good on you, CJ, for calling all that action. We'll get those replays when we can, when we have time. Our fantastic producer, a.k.a. caster of Rob, is doing all the great work.
Oh, Javorcian has a horrible corner and loses a bunch of time. He's got them tires way too hot and pushing that car way too hard. And he's sliding all over the place and losing time. So he lets Marias get back by. And now Richard Hearn is hot on his tail. And he's going to be coming for him. The battle's still heated up front. Sights staying on Vieira's tail. 8 minutes left to go in the race. That's only about 4 laps. Maybe 5 laps, I think, left in the race. So we should see about lap 21, lap 22. We should be getting the checkered flag. And it's really heating up. Sights is staying on Vieira. Vieira takes a defensive line through that corner, which is going to give Sights a better exit.
Oh, it's a brilliant defensive move there. Now, Greg has got many of time now to study all the faults from Lucas. And guess what, my friend? Those dress rehearsals are over. It's now time for the main show. And this is where you're going to have to start thinking about an overtake. And if you do happen to send one up a little bit too late, you're going to compromise yourself any speed of another chance. So if I was a race engineer right now, I'd be telling my drivers, okay, with about 7 minutes and change to go, you've got 1 or 2 laps to try something. And if you do make a mistake, you might have another 1 or 2 laps to try it again. But if you wait until the last couple of minutes, that's it. You have one chance and one chance only.
Zuccarelli and Reagan still going at it for 8th and 9th position. Still very, very close. Zuccarelli trying to get back by Reagan, but our battle up front is just staying so close. Seitz has such a run, but you know he's not making it happen. He tries to put a little pressure coming out of the corner there.
He's going to go for it. No, yeah. I think this is a lap he has to go for it now. This is the next lap coming up. He has to, because once again, you're going to go off the racing line. You're going to send one on the inside. Fantastic defensive we've seen from Lucas before in the past. So Lucas is going to make it easy. And if Greg does make a little bit of a mistake and outbrake himself a little bit, he's going to compromise so much time that he may never get another chance to try to get the race win. So I'd say one chance now, go for it. And if you make a mistake, okay, you got another chance. If you don't, well, if you get it right, of course, you'll be in the race lead. So that's it. That's what I'd have to say. Don't wait until the last minute, of course, as we all do that for our exams at school, don't we? Putting in papers. We wait for the very last minute. Here we go. This is it. I'd have to say this is a lap he has to make a run here.
Yeah, and we just seen Zuccarelli get by Reagan, that battle we were just watching a moment ago. He just got that job done and is now trying to hold it off. And Seitz, with just 5.5 minutes left to go, 3.5 laps before we see the time click off. I agree. He's going to have to make a run. I think he's going to try to do it up the hill, but I don't think he's close enough right now. He might be letting Vieira think that he's got nothing for him, and he might wait one more lap. 5 minutes is still a long time to try to hold off Lucas Vieira.
Yes, it is. That's the interesting thing about it. There's a bit of a switcheroo here. Yeah, you see, he's throwing a dummy. I like it. You love this for motor racing between these two drivers. Now he's getting anxious, and now he's starting to throw the car in different places there. So you know that Lucas, but I think Vieira is pretty good at not mirror racing. We call mirror racing, of course, if you're looking at mirrors, when you're looking at a racing line, that's something. You can't dethrone the Brazilians, my friend. They're in P1 and P3 currently in the moment, and Ed Senna was one of the greatest motorsports racing drivers of all time. So Brazilians know how to drive, but we know Greg is also probably a little bit quicker. Problem is, it's not quick enough to get past. And time's not on his side. Now there's another lap. He's got to be able to think about it now. 4 minutes to change left in this race. Everybody in the chat, if you are paying attention, who do you think is going to get it? Is it going to go to USA or will it go to Brazil?
I think Vieira has been the one that's been kind of holding back a little bit. Because Seitz, Vieira is really starting to push. He gets really loose coming through that corner. That is going to be the opportunity. Greg Seitz is on his tail, going to be making the move. Is he going to go outside, up the hill? Can he get enough distance to make it work? Will Vieira keep it clean? Vieira locks up on the inside. They keep it clean. Greg Seitz goes to the lead with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in the race.
What patience, what skill, what determination. He had to force. He had to force Lucas off because he stuck committed to the racing line, which is the best line you want to take through those turns. That's the lockup from Vieira, but now Lucas has a little bit of time to come back in this one. What? Craig took so long to get that one overtake, didn't he? So long, 19 laps, got it done. It's very disappointing for Lucas, but I'll tell you what, that Brazilian Spirit's going to be here, and Brazilian Spirit has to be doing something right now because, once again, time's not. It's like 3 minutes and change.
And I can tell you right now, that whole thing with Vieira getting loose there is that mind game, that pressure, that seeing Seitz right there in the mirror, knowing you have to be perfect no matter what all of the time. And this time, it only takes one corner, it only takes one little outbreak or one little bit of, messing up the throttle too much, too little. And now you see, Seitz has got almost a half a second over Vieira. Vieira gains 0.2 in that first corner, so he might be able to have something for Seitz, but it's all that pressure. When you have someone behind you that much, they look like they're making moves here and there, it really starts to mess with your head, and you start looking in that mirror a little bit more than you're looking in front. And when that happens, you take just that little bit of focus off, and that little bit of focus is what makes you make a mistake.
Well, this is now the first time that Greg has to actually look at his mirrors because he's been chasing. He's now become the chaser. and he has to now defend. And I have to say, every race driver has their own different opinions. Some people like to be the ones chased. Some people like to not be the ones being chased and defend. And now he has to think about holding this off. He holds this off essentially for about 2 minutes. He's going to win this race. But I'll tell you what, Lucas is not happy about being overtaken, considering he's held 19 or so laps of these in the lead. He's going to apply as much pressure as he possibly can to Greg. But that's probably not the way to do it, because he's compromised a little bit of speed here.
Depending on when they cross the finish line, this might be the last lap that they're coming across. It's a minute 25 to get around, and they're racing, so it might be a minute 26. And they're coming close. Oh, I come across the stripe with a minute 26 left to go, so we might get an extra lap after this. I'm not exactly sure, but
no,
wow.
I think you will. I didn't see Barney waving his flag, and I didn't see my mouse flashing white. That usually is for the penultimate lap. So this will fall into Lucas's hands a little bit more. So he's got another 2 perhaps opportunities, but that's too far back to send one up to the top of the hill.
Oh, and they get really, really close. Vieira.
But he has to apply the pressure, doesn't he? Because that's what happened. That's what Greg did before. Lucas locked up a little bit and lost that position, and Lucas needs to force Greg into doing the same thing. We do apologize that we're not capturing all the other action from the other drivers as well, because there's a lot of action you can see on the timing table that's happening. But hey, it's the top of the timesheets. The 2 drivers want to win this race. You generally always want to capture the top of the race win. And thank you everybody for tuning in here for our round 5 at the Red Bull Ring, because it ain't over yet until Barney waves that checkered flag.
Yeah, and we got Richard Hearn, the leader of the Pro Division. He's actually 4th overall right now in that number 70 machine, so he's doing a great job. Christopher Reagan is in 2nd, and Joel Jacklin is 3rd on the board, and there is the white flag, I believe.
Yep, that's the white
flag.
flag.
That's going to be one more lap to go. Seitz has to hold on for one more lap.
Oh,
It's a massive mistake in turn 1. That is almost definitely going to hand it over to Seitz, as long as Seitz doesn't make any mistakes. He's got almost a second and a half over top of Vieira now.
Yeah, you want to go back to that battle for 10, 11, 12 now, because there's a little bit of breathing space, because this is what's heating up here. So, unfortunately, Lucas got a little too deep in that corner, trying to push so much pressure. Why not? He was going for it. He'll have to set it for a P2.
Oh,
look at this. Look how
goes way wide. That's going to be an off track, but he's doing everything he can to hold that momentum. Is he going to try? He's going to try to make a move into turn 1.
You got to.
Oh, beautiful move.
Oh. Double maneuver as well, too, as 2 drivers got through, I think, at the moment. That's 12 car.
Yeah, that was Kansas Gentry in the 211. Just one of our privateers here, making a great move on Jacklin.
Absolutely. You might have to go back over now to the man of the hour, isn't it? 74 car, because he's coming around the final couple of corners, and, well, I'll be looking forward to listening to him in the interview. Over to you, mate.
Yeah, and as he rounds that final corner, that checkered flag is going to be in the air. Greg Seitz is going to take round number 5 from the Red Bull Ring. Lucas Vieira coming in a close second after putting up such a hard battle throughout the whole race. Just didn't have what it took to take Seitz down today, but his teammate, Mateus Marias, is going to come home in 3rd position, bringing On Wheels Racing a double podium. Richard Hearn coming home 4th, and Juan Moncada taking home 5th position. Stephen Place in the red line machine takes home 6th. Orvanis Javorgian is wrecking his car pretty good. He takes home 7th. Christopher Reagan 8th. Diego Zuccarelli and Christopher Reagan had a really awesome battle, and Reagan ends up finishing ahead of him. So what a drive for these drivers tonight. It was absolutely insane watching the battles on track, and it was all over. We had them for 10th, we had them for 8th, we had them for 3rd, we had them for 1st. What an awesome race for the Red Bull Ring this evening.
Right, what's that? Is this a game or real? Well, considering that little smash towards the end there after they crossed the line already. flipping that car all over the place. I'm pretty sure that driver is hoping that it's a game and not. It's a sim, actually, not a game. Believe it or not, this is a sim. Because we've seen before in the past that drivers that do very, very well in iRacing and other racing sims can actually jump into a motor vehicle and do some pretty damn good times without the physical differences. But there it is, as you said. What a race Red Bull always produces. To the sound of music of the sound of the Radical World Series cars, round 5.
Yeah, and we'll see. I think, do we have some drivers for interviews? Because
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet. Well, then let's take a look at. We do not have the schedule for you guys, but we can let you know for sure what our schedule is like next week. February 9th, we go over to Olton Park. February 16th, a couple days after Valentine's Day, we're going to be in a beautiful Silverstone. I can't wait to go there. I love that track. It is actually going to be the legacy track, so the older Silverstone, which is the track that I learned how to road course race on, which is going to be really cool to watch these radical cars. And then we're going to finish out this season February 23rd at Brands Hatch. And Brands Hatch is going to be an awesome race. It's an amazing venue, and these cars are going to tear Brands Hatch up, and it is going to be a treat. So make sure you tune in. JP Broadcasting live on YouTube. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know when we go live for all of our streams and all of our races. And make sure you come in and join us and comment in the videos. We'd love to see you guys. We had a lot of action today, so I'm sorry we didn't get to too many of the comments. But make sure you comment and hit that thumbs up, and make sure if you enjoyed it, share it with some of your friends, because we love racing and we want to spread it out to all you guys. Now, I believe.
Yep, I'm gonna get him in. I'm gonna get him in. I'm gonna get our top 3 in. I'll pull them all at once, and then we can talk to them so that they can all listen to each other and comment about that one. So we'll get Greg in, we'll get Lucas in, and we'll get Matthew in. So we'll get Greg in, we'll get Lucas in, and we'll get Matthew in. Welcome, guys. You're all gonna be in the interview box at once, but we'll go through one by one so you can all listen to the live interviews. Rob, who would you like to interview first?
Well, we got Mateus Marias. He comes out, and he's our 3rd place finisher, our second podium driver. He comes out, and he gets the On Wheels TV race team a double podium, racing hard for that 3rd place with Richard Hearn. Mateus, how was your drive at the Red Bull Ring tonight? You seemed like you had a little bit of competition there a little bit earlier, but you were kind of all by yourself running there for a little while.
Hey guys, good evening. I don't know. I knew I didn't have the pace to keep up with Greg and Lucas. I knew there was a bit of a gap from the guys behind. I was just trying to hold up the car. The last few laps were a bit tricky. The car was sliding like hell. But it was good. It was good. First podium. I need to catch with points. It was good.
Well, okay, your teammate's just up the road there from Brazil, not your teammate, of course, but use your teammate, of course, on Wheels Racing. Overall, you get in 2 positions, so absolutely fantastic. You said the bubbly stuff tastes very good, doesn't it, when your first podium?
Yeah, it feels really good.
Overall, the race, how do you think it went from your qualifying and then obviously the Red Bull Ring?
Yeah, I'm not good at that track. It was a bit tricky. It was a good result, the best result that I could make. It was all right. I like it.
Excellent. Well, hang around for a second so you can listen to the other drivers.
Yeah,
congratulations on your P3. Yeah, and anything you want to say real quick there, you can also shout something out in Portuguese so that maybe Lucas can understand or the other drivers.
No, it's okay. I just want to say thank you to the race, the transmission, everybody who's coming. It's been really fun. Thank you a lot, guys.
Thank you. Absolutely brilliant.
Now,
Rob.
Now we've got one of the most exciting interviews we're gonna have here tonight. It's sad and it's heartbreaking. We've got Lucas Vieira, our 2nd place finisher. Lucas, you showed such pace in the beginning of this race. You had a great drive, What happened in the latter half of that race? Were you just feeling the pressure of sights, or did you kind of overwork your tires in the beginning? What happened there?
Hey guys, I think it's just I misjudged the corner. That's what happened. I didn't. I know that if I keep Greg behind like from 0.4, 0.5, he will overtake me on the straight because it was way too far. And it to dive into the corner, he know that we probably gonna kill both of us. So I know he knows this kind of driver. So I misjudged this corner. I brake a little bit too late, trying to open the gap because on that same lap I opened like 0.4 to 0.5. So if I push in the next corner, I might have like, a bit of better grip on the straights, and it didn't happen. I touched the curb, make a mistake, and didn't have the pace to catch a bit later because the tires are already sliding that much. So it is what it is. But it was a great race anyway.
Well, yeah, you ended up having a 2-3 podium, a double podium for your constructors team. How are you feeling knowing that those Rust Racing guys are really fast? Gevorgian had a rough time today and fell back to 7th, which gives you guys an edge towards that championship. Are you more looking forward to having that constructors championship, or are you really pushing to try to get that drivers?
I think if we can win both, it will be better. But yeah, I think I think we have to focus on the constructors because probably with few races, I don't know if we can catch Greg up at on the drivers championship. But we will try to do our best on the next few rounds.
You have a number one next to your car name, so number one is the target one again. Unfortunately, the 74 cars are going to be denying you that one today, at least. But you'd have to say a great job. You led majority of the laps. And all it took, wasn't it, a little snap of the brake, isn't it, going up to the turn 3 on the inside line. Then all of a sudden, bang, Greg is ahead of you. But your defensive driving was absolutely amazing. And your driving the lead was tough, as you know. You weren't mirror driving at all, were you?
No, I don't think so. But it was fun race. I cheers for Greg. He's a really fair driver. I always have amazing battles with him on the track. I just have an amazing time with Greg here.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to see more of those battles with Greg. And speaking of the man himself, Rob, well, Greg, congratulations, the Rust Racing team. You did it. It took you about 19 laps to get past. How was this race?
Yeah, thanks, Dean. Well, it was an exercise in patience because I was basically trying to conserve my tires a little bit. I knew it would be super hard to get by Lucas because, he's such a good driver and he was basically, holding me at bay, and there's just no long straightaways to kind of, you can get a good run out of a corner, but you run out of straightaway before you can really do anything about it, without any kind of crazy move. So really my hope was to try to just stay close, keep the pressure on, and see if I could, kind of coax him into making a mistake. Or I thought later in the race his tires were starting to go, so I thought, maybe I had an advantage there. Although I think, the tires, being the chasing car, could be a little tougher, on the tires than being out front. So yeah, I definitely wanted to be out front, but my qualifying this season just hasn't been there, or in other words, Lucas has just beat me every time. So I wanted to start up front here, especially because I knew this is a track you want to lead on and you can go, start to finish. But yeah, he gave me that one opportunity and I took advantage of it.
Well, we definitely were watching your qualifying time, trying to get up there. And we had just mentioned about the off tracks, and we saw your lap invalidated almost at the beginning of your lap. How difficult is it to go through and practice and race a track like this where the off tracks are so minute in right next to your line? How hard is it to go and practice and know that they don't really matter too much in the race or here and there, but all of a sudden you have to somewhat change your line just a little bit in qualifying? Does that affect you at all?
No, I was trying to keep on the track even during practice. But yeah, it just took one mistake, I think, on that last lap. I don't know what Lucas's time would have been, but I would have beat him, at least from his previous lap on that last one. And it got me on the last corner. And so I was kind of disappointed with that. But yeah, this track, the off tracks are there. I was actually worried during the race, starting to pile up some off tracks pretty quickly early on, and I'm like, I have to watch that because we only got 15, and it's not very hard to get 15 on this track with a race this long. So, it looked like I couldn't tell, if it was kind of real or not, but Lucas's car kind of looked like coming out of the last turn, he was over the line a number of times. So I was kind of wondering where he was at on his off tracks too. So, but
well, I'm counting. Well, this is probably just telemetry is not even 100% accurate, but it says 45 for you and 36, but that's just like every little tiny moment. But
oh yeah, that's probably with all the practice as well. But yeah, in the race, I think I had 7 or 8. Yeah, and once I got him behind me, I was going to keep pushing, and then I saw he made another mistake going into turn one, and then I just creeped on that last lap. I did not want to make a mistake, so I think I was a second or two off my normal pace on that lap.
Well,
it was interesting because go ahead.
No, it was definitely a beautiful race to watch and a beautiful drive, knowing that it takes that you were behind him for almost 25 minutes and you were within a half a second of him for almost the entire race. So to keep that patience, to not want to throw it in when you get somewhat of a run. We watched a few times where we thought you were going to possibly make a run, and nope, you back off, you get in behind, you make sure you keep it clean and smooth because there's a lot of race left to go. How much does it take for you to have that patience? Like you said, it was a big challenge in patience, but what does it take to get to that point to where you're not diving in or you're not taking the chances when they come, knowing when you're driving against someone like Lucas Vieira that chance might not come again?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I try to be a super clean driver, so I won't typically go for a pass unless I feel like there's a legitimate chance at it, and I was just trying to stay really close, and I was kind of working different angles, trying to like go a little slower into turn one so I could get a better run out of it. Trying to change my lines up a little bit and see if I could find some more grip somewhere, but yeah, he had me pretty much covered, and so had he not had that slip up, I'm not sure I would have got past him, and maybe on the last lap I might have gone for some desperation move, but I'm generally not that kind of driver, and so yeah, I like it when people beat me legitimately, and hopefully they do the same thing, because it's always fun to beat a driver that races you, or even if you lose to a driver that races you clean. I always get much more satisfaction out of that than guys that just kind of come flying in from behind and only make the turn because you get out of their way. And Lucas is not that kind of driver, so we race each other really fairly.
Well, GG's, Greg. You certainly, both yourself there, Lucas, as well as Matthews there, that secured the podium. So it seems to me, my friend, this is a question I wanted to ask before we'll let you guys celebrate. Do you like to be the predator or the prey?
Oh, I mean, I definitely wanted to be the prey in this race.
Yeah, the prey, you had to be leading. Predator's going to be the one hunting you down, and in this case, you were the predator hunting down Lucas.
I would have been much happier out in front.
There you go, Lucas.
It's really tricky to find your marks. When you're really uptight and close with somebody, which you have to be able to get past them cleanly. And so it was really, really tricky.
On this car, we all want to be the prey.
Well, thank you very much, guys. It's been absolutely entertaining and exciting, as it always is. Looking forward to Alton Park coming up soon. Now, over to you, Mr. Rubb.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Your podium finishers, as you see Greg Seitz crossing the finish line in an amazing last few minutes victory over Lucas Vieira, who put on an incredible showing. Let's go and take a look at your race results one more time, so that way you can see exactly where all your favorite drivers finished. Greg Seitz topping the board, Lucas Vieira and Mateus Marias, your podium finishers. Richard Hearn taking home the win for the AM division and finishing 4th overall for Elite West Racing. Juan Moncada takes home 5th with Stephen Place right behind him. 2 Team Redlines, 5th and 6th position. Not too shabby for that team right there. The other Rust Racing driver, Hrvanis Gevorgian, finishes in 7th and still brings home some points for his team. Christopher Reagan and Diego Zuccarelli battled it out for most of the race, swapped back and forth. Christopher Reagan ends up winning that battle, finishing 8th, with Diego Zuccarelli 9th. Manuel Solorzano, he had a tough race. We've seen that little bump from Richard Hearn. He falls down. He's still on the podium for the AM division, but he's down in 10th position overall. Kansas Gentry, Joel Jacklin, Charles Krasik, and Mateus Seminari round out your 14-car field today. And Seminari is usually up towards the front, so it's surprising to see him having some issues this afternoon here at the Red Bull Ring. Maybe we'll see a little bit of a change when we go to Alton Park next week. But that is going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. For everybody here at JP Broadcasting, thanks for coming out. Once again, make sure you have subscribed to the channel. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you get all them notifications letting you know when we go live with the awesome racing you just saw and much more. Y'all have a great night, and we will see you next week in Alton Park.